Well, Art and Soul has been trying to find a way to thank you for everything you've done, and this is one of the ways. Not the last way, but this is one of the ways.
I feel like a movie star.
We had a wonderful evening last evening. Had a founders dinner with a few people that came to that, and there's a slideshow over in the corner over there. If you're here throughout the day, you can take a look at that.
Oh yeah, take a look at that. It's fun.
It was gorgeous people.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and wonderful stories.
Wonderful stories.
Yeah, we might have some repeated here today.
That's good. That's good. Well, we can just get started, I think. Beth, are you ready for us? All right.
Well, I'll tell you, I hear that you came for a talk. And, you know, I don't do that. I became a teacher, so I didn't have to. Other people would talk. So, and I'm really good at that, but it's harder for me to expose myself and to remember what to say in the stories to tell and whatever. So please be patient with me. I'm ecstatic to be here with all of you. And I first want to do some thank yous, and the first one is to Jenny, who is the brainiac who thought this up, and who has worked tirelessly for several weeks. She's a locomotive. You can't resist her.
Well, we want to thank the whole fundraising committee. There's a whole bunch of people who made this happen. I want to thank Vicki. Where's Vicki? Raise your hand. Or right there, who has helped to the mastermind of hanging the show, and Pat, who's a workhorse with Vicki. So there's so many people. I can't even mention everyone, because one thing Art and Soul does so well is everyone pitches in. And so right. Many hands.
It's a self-organizing organism.
There we go.
And which is really lucky. It's wonderful. There's this kind of underground intelligence that connects us all and tells people when they're asleep what to do and when to show up. So thank you for listening.
Let's talk about the art a little.
Okay, well, let me do something.
Yeah.
I mean, I do want to thank my own committee that I had, which is Vicki and Pat and Doris and Michael. Is Michael here? No.
I haven't seen him yet.
He's the one. He's kind of the heavy lifter of bringing the art all over here, and also making peace with me day by day. So I have a great. This is not. At least for me, it would not be an easy show to hang, and they are geniuses that have been helping me. They're the curators, so I want to thank them. And I also want to, if you are a member of the co-op, would you raise your hand so that people can see who's a member of the co-op here? And if it doesn't make sense to you that if you haven't heard about the co-op, one of these people will be glad to talk to you about it. And every single person in the co-op, current co-op, plus many from other co-ops in past years, have helped to bring this all together. And I want to thank all of you. I'm looking at people who have been with Art and Soul from like the very beginning, like Jane Fleischman. Wait, where are my people?
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Might even say raise a hand if you've taken a class.
Linda Leftwich, Pat Halper. She has been here not just taking classes and surreptitiously being a helper, but she is. If I was to thank everybody for being here, it would be Pat and Vicki, and Pat and Jenny, and Pat and Pat and Mary, Pat and Bernita. So thank you, Pat. She brought us through a lot of dark times. And I just want to say, so there are a few people who have been in my life. The Virginia team is sitting right here, and she is the reason that I'm in Nashville, and she dragged me kicking and screaming across the country in 1978. She is the art director of Columbia Records, and I promised I would get her here and then turn around and go back to California. And that was 40 years ago. So thank you, Virginia. Yeah. And let's see, there's somebody
Can
else
I thank
like that.
somebody too?
Yeah.
I
please.
wanted to thank your sister, Francie, who helped to support the flowers that are here today.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And she wasn't able to come, but you can see her presence
yeah,
through
she's
these
very
beautiful
much here, yes.
And Susie is the one who put them
Yeah,
together.
and thank you, Susie, for that.
Back there.
Right, way back there. Hi, Susie. Also, my brother is here from California. Where is he? John. He is the most creative person in the family, so get to know him. He's amazing. He's a good egg. And I do want to say that Art and Soul would not exist if it weren't for the expertise and artistry of my brother at being at the head of our family ranch of avocados and lemons and making enough money that I could keep going over all these years. And there's so many people I want to say thank you to, but I see Nancy Belser over here, who has made my body able to be here. She's my masseuse. Thank you. She's amazing. Okay, that's enough. I mean, all of you, please, I want to thank you all for being here today, but also for the last 30 years of Art and Soul's life. And it takes a village. We're not just a village, we're a family. And we're also a world. And what we do here is wonderful for us, but it also energizes the world in a new way. One, in a way that is peaceful, in a way that is open, inclusive, creative, visionary. And all of you have participated in that for many years, and I am so grateful because I couldn't do what I had to do if it weren't for you. So let's give a hand for everybody. I need some water.
Okay.
Would you hold my water for me?
I'll be more than happy.
Thank you, but I got to have some first.
Okay.
I'm okay for right now. Actually, I'm fine. You know, I didn't really know what to say. There's a lot I could say. I could sit here all afternoon or all weekend or whatever. So, but I don't want to entrap anybody. So, I have a couple of poems that kind of speak to when I started being an artist a long time ago, and more where I am now. And I think they speak to that better than I can do just by thinking up stories. So this poem was written by me in 1972. So that was even before anyway, it was like almost 50 years ago. And the title of this poem is Ajar. And that's one word, ajar, like a door being ajar. I stand at the sink automatically washing jars. Absently, I sort out the ones that are suitable for mixing paint and washing brushes. I have not painted in years. Wash them, pack them, keep track of the lids, stack them on the back porch. I have not painted in years. Every so often, I need a jar for cuttings or taking soup to a friend who is sick. The cartons of empty jars move with me from house to house. They collect like guilt in unused corners of the soul. I think, how pathetic. But the ruse is too obvious. These jars are not delusions. They are the humble yearnings for substance and meaning of a heart paralyzed by fear, desire shelved, disguised. Every woman saves jars. So the reason I do that, say that, is that many people come in here and they go, oh, what a wonderful artist, or oh, you know, she's an artist, I'm not an artist, I could never do that. We all have those fears, and I just want to let you know that I'm just like all of you who have been paralyzed by fear, even for a moment, let alone for a decade or a lifetime. So this next one does not follow exactly that, but I think you will be able to find the meaning in it. It's a little, it might be a little obscure, but if you think about it, it's not obscure at all. This is called In the Woods. It is midnight. I go walking in the woods. All is blackness. With my flashlight, I can see the small space just around me. I turn off my light. Slowly, the forest and all the stars appear, becoming clearer and clearer and clearer. So just to be pedantic, you know, I was paralyzed by fear in that first poem because of ego, because of the ego that is particularly negative. We think of ego as being like, oh, she's so full of herself. But the problem is that most of us with big egos, they're big negative egos. And they talk to us all the time. And so it's a real practice to let go of that. And it actually takes years and years and years. And I still struggle with it sometimes. But it's a wonderful thing to be free of that and to not be judging myself as well as judging other people. And the reason that Art and Soul has the practices it has is because that's true for all of us, and it's particularly true of me. So it's a joy to have come to a place where it's not a struggle for me to do my artwork. It's not a struggle for me to be with you. It's not a struggle for me to know who I am in the world. And so that's really pretty much, and I found my way through visual art, which you see on the walls. I found my way through authentic movement and sounding and voice. I found my way through writing and poetry and dance and meditation, and all of those are able to bring us joy and have brought me joy to this point. So I'm really not going to speak, you know, like as in a lecture anymore, but I would love to answer questions or hear your comments. We don't want, everybody's standing up, and it makes me feel tired. So we're not going to take a long time, but also get to know each other. You know, say hello to somebody that you have not met and see what happens. So does anybody have a question?
Yeah.
What's your most embarrassing art moment?
I'm going to repeat these so that we can get them on the. So what is your most embarrassing art moment?
Oh my goodness.
Before you thought somebody was painting a dog and it turned out to be a door?
Yeah, well, that's actually what the beauty of art is that you start painting a dog and it becomes a door. So I will say that it wasn't an embarrassing time, but it was kind of a suspenseful time. When I first came to Tennessee, I went down to MTSU, which, by the way, has a wonderful art department. And I interviewed with an artist and teacher whose name is David Ledoux, who is a real hard ass. He's a badass. Yeah, he pursued us, for all of us, for years in his inimitable way. But he asked me to bring some paintings to him. And he was an amazing painter and an amazing teacher, really. And so I brought some paintings for him to look at. And I think I bought about maybe 6 paintings, and we set them up around his office. And he sat there and he looked at them blankly for 5 minutes without speaking, and then for 10 minutes without speaking, and then for 15 minutes without speaking. And I was really nervous. I didn't think they were that bad. But he finally, about 20 minutes later, he said, well, at least they're not embarrassing.
You won.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So who else would like to know something?
I would love to know, what's it like to see all of this in one space? I mean, I see lots of different parts of years of work, and I just want to know what it's like for you to...
It's very exciting. I was worried because a lot of my art has gone out the door to other people as gifts and as sales and all kinds of things. And so there's big holes. This is just a small part of the body of work that I have. Yeah, anyway, you get it. So it's really, like for instance, I've never seen these scroll paintings up all together. And also I've never seen that big canvas over there up lit well enough to see it. In my house, it's so dark, it just looks like midnight. And so it's really wonderful, and I would have never put it with those scrolls because I didn't do it at the same time as the scrolls. So I thought it was really brilliant, and it's so fun for me to see these fun things I did for an couple of album covers many years ago. Somebody last night said, it's so colorful in here. And, it's so interesting how it seems obvious to me to use color the way I do. So it amazes me that it shines out in that particular way. I also want to say that love seeing these figures, these big figures of goddesses over here. So if you're stuck in this room, come check them out sometime. And also, I love the collages I do are usually very little, and they feel very precious to me, and it was really fun for me to see them. And then this Madonna series that's in the installation space here is fun I've had recently. So be sure to look at the titles of things if you want to. There's one you would probably not see, a couple of titles here of these two little wooden paintings here. And they're called The Bauhaus Rides Again. So, anyway.
Question here.
I was just wondering, what motivated you to teach in the midst of creating all of this amazing art?
Well, what motivated me to teach was that I needed a bigger studio than was in my house, And so I thought, okay. And so I started looking for studios, and it happened that the May Hosiery Mill 30 years ago. That's right. More than 30 years ago, started to rent space out, and the Tennessee Repertory Theater had its offices there, and maybe a couple of designers, but the rest of that enormous building was empty, and so I went up the stairs to the third floor, and there were 9,000 square feet available. And I thought, well, that might be a little bit too big. But it was so cheap. It was $1.50 a square foot. So I rented 3,500 square feet because I could. And then I got worried. Well, actually, yeah, I got a little worried about the money part. And then I also started painting in that studio, like from, a 30-foot painting, for instance, which I just always wanted, not that I thought it was going to be successful, but I just wanted to do it one time, and so I did that. I did it actually several times. And some of these color romps are from that time, actually.
That's the ones on the wall
on the wall, yeah. Actually, they're those big paintings cut up. And after about 3 weeks, I started feeling real lonely. And so I thought, I need to make some money, and I'd like to have some people around. So I decided to teach.
Great. Is there another question over right here?
Yeah, would you compare the satisfaction you get from teaching with the satisfaction of being of painting or creating in your own studio?
Interesting question.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
satisfying is teaching versus
Teaching
working?
is way more natural for me. Being an artist is not the most natural thing for me. Being creative is pretty natural, but I will say that the teaching is something I do naturally and spontaneously and without thought. And usually my mind gets into some kind of artistic endeavor. So thank you for that question. It's wonderful.
Here.
Just a statement. I just want to say thank you for the joy, the spirit, the light, and the energy that you have brought to all these people and so many more and to this whole city. And I thank you so much.
Jane has a question.
Just sort of building on that, really, I wanted to just kind of comment on how when you came here, when I first met you, back when you were new in Hosiery Mill and still relatively new in Nashville, and how unique you were then. I mean, you're unique now, of course, but just what a different spirit and energy you brought, and being with you and being in the studio was always, it was about art, but really it was about life and what was possible.
Right.
And Mary and I share a memory of things, you would say things to us. You know, you were like so like, you would say things to us like, you're sitting on your power, and we'd be like, what? Like we had no idea what you were saying. I didn't know I had, what power, what? You know, but gradually, being around you, a person does get power. Anyways, it's just so wonderful to see you, and it's been so wonderful to know you all these years.
Yeah, Jane is a bright light in my life. And when I took off to go to Massachusetts to do some more digging, Jane took over teaching for a couple of years while I was gone. And so there's so many of you that have done that, you know, sustained this community that way by coming in, getting fed, and then feeding others. So thank you, Jane, and all the other teachers that are doing wonderful work.
Do you have a favorite color, and if so, what is your favorite color?
Blue, of course. Is there any other color to love?
Back here.
There's no, you know, because. You know, heaven, water, air, it goes with my eyes.
Because it's a jar.
Right.
Here.
I have a lot I could say, and I think it's best that I don't say most of it.
Probably, Clark.
For my sake. But when you moved to Nashville, you moved into my apartment building, just downstairs from me, and I told somebody on the phone yesterday that I learned from you that it's not good or not possible, but that it's okay to have really loud arguments. Initially, I felt I heard this from afar. You were on the first floor and I was on the third floor. But as I got to know you, you would say like really strong things to me that were like negative about me. And I had never experienced that in my life, and I didn't realize that was part of healthy living.
I want to say that you are wonderful. You served me in many ways, and that being one, and that you are a worthy opponent.
But you inspired me to be that. I think I was covertly one. You inspired me to come out of my shell.
Oh, Clark, what shell?
The shell I was in before you were.
There's a question back here.
Arunima, where is lately your creative urge leading you? And I just heard you say maybe lately you've been working on those, Madonna? Is that true?
Well, finishing them.
Finishing them.
Mhm.
So compared to all the work you're seeing here, what's happening now in you about making and doing?
Nothing.
That's the best place to start.
Yeah, really. I've been in communication with a friend of mine who is also a world-class artist who shows all over the world. She actually was my student at one time, which was kind of a joke, but we've had a correspondence lately, and she has had some difficult health problems, and I had some difficult health problems, and I mean, she is like really known in the world, you know, and she has gone in after she could do something. She has gone into her studio several times and not been able to do anything, and it just hasn't been there. And we've talked about how interesting that is after, you know, a lifetime of making and doing, and I feel very complete for now, both with my teaching and with my art. But that doesn't mean it won't, as you said, start beginner's mind again. It's the perfect place to start from. So I receive visions on a regular basis, and so I'm imagining that you all will be in my vision, helping me make my newest thing.
Well, and we've been saying this week as we see the red dots go up here.
Yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds good.
You might need to make some more art soon.
I'm right. I'm one of those people who has lots of blank canvases stored around and under the beds and things. So
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
I'd like that.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question. I was just wondering if you had any words of wisdom for the Art and Soul community moving forward.
Oh, you guys are doing hard questions. Yeah, breathe, listen, receive, show up, connect, and be joyful.
Lovely. Is that good?
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Have a wonderful time. This is a great party. Have a wonderful time.
I just want to say one or two more things.
Oh,
and
I'm
I'll be
sorry.
almost done.
Here's another question.
Just a second. Yeah, go ahead. Did you have a question?
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking for like some of the young artists, what would you say to a younger artist that's starting up? I know you just gave wisdom, but
Yeah.
specifically to a younger.
For a younger artist, I'd say get your materials together and go do it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I would like to say that if you look behind you on this wall over here, there's a print of one of Nima's drawings up here. And there's one on order, but there's going to be a framed version of that. That's
The
gonna
one with the
stay
black
on the
frame
wall.
that she's
Yeah.
talking about.
The one with the gold
no.
frame on it?
The
No,
black
the one that's unframed, the unframed print right there,
Oh,
that is going to stay on that wall with a
Oh.
little some
really?
words underneath it for keeping you present in the studio with us
How
all
wonderful.
the time. So.
Thank you.
Okay.